what makes my experience unique is that my manhood was like acquired. It wasn't inherited.
What have you learned, or what do you believe about masculine qualities that are really good for humanity, for us as men, that we should hold on to? And the other ones that maybe you have learned actually has not served you, are not serving other men, and ones that maybe you had a perspective of that maybe I was deprived of because I just was expected to be that, but you weren't expected to be that. You had to have a different walk through that.
I would get asked often, like, why do you want to be a boy? And it's like, I don't know. It's not, you know what I mean? So like, okay, what is it about being, I think my mom posted me, what is it about being a boy that's like so interesting to you? And I was like, I don't know. I think it's just to be, first I just want to be myself. Mm-hmm. And then I want to be able to express myself the way that I want to. And I want to be able to express myself and enjoy parts of myself. So I think that's how I started to define like what masculinity was to me, right? Mm-hmm. Like I was like, I like to be able to like create and think for myself in the way that I've noticed that men in society are able to do, right? Where there's not an expectation for you to just receive and just take direction and do things. Like men get to determine who they are. They get to go out into the world and they get to hunt and they get to go seek and they get to do this, where women are supposed to like take what is given to them and then, you know, make something amazing out of it. And I'm like, well, I mean, and this is like just the rudimentary like understanding Sure. that I was like grasping at from what was being presented to me like as a young person. As I look at it as an adult looking back, it's like that's ridiculous. But like as a young person growing up in the 80s and the 90s, like this is what's being like forced like down your throat, because it's like I thought you had to be one way or the other. It's like we're all of the things. And so,
well, this is where I'm so glad you just shared some of this. I'm sorry to cut you off, but this is a topic and a conversation that I've had with many men, not just men, women as well. When a boy has these feminine qualities and does the things that are, air quotes, stereotypically attributed to girls, they're called names. Oh, you're not a boy, or you're a this, or you're a that. Or you have a girl who has all these other attributes, maybe more masculine attributes, and you're a tomboy, and you're this, and you're that, and you're that. So then, is it possible that kids feel themselves on an island, rather than if a parent or society said to a young boy who is 6 years old, who has all these feminine qualities, you're such a beautiful boy. I love that you have these qualities. Do you feel if parents, if society embraced us as we are and it was okay to be whatever sex you were and you were exactly that, do you think that maybe you would have found yourself in a different place had you been fully embraced for who you were at 8?
Some of this has to do with kind of knowing the difference between sex, gender identity, and gender expression, right? So like sex, I feel like is talking about like biological body, how your body manifests, your relationship to that, right? Okay. Your gender identity is how you identify yourself, right? So like when you close your eyes and you picture yourself, what do you see? And I feel like that's your identity. And then your expression is how you express that gender identity. So some people, even, you know, their biology is one way. Their body shows up this way. Maybe it's a way that's, you know, we assign as male, right? And when they, you know, close their eyes and they picture themselves, they see themselves as a male. But what they like to express on the outside is the feminine qualities of themselves. They still see their body and they still identify as male, but they really like to express the feminine aspects of who they are, right? Or you could have a different, you know, calibration where it's like your sex is assigned female, but when you close your eyes and you picture yourself and how you feel about yourself is male, and so then you express your masculinity. If people had, or like parents or society would have room for the different calibrations, then yeah, I think we'd be much better off. Because then you could just be who you are, and like you could figure it out as you go along. It's not always necessarily said. I feel like maybe some things might be kind of locked in a little early on, but then some things you kind of, as you go through life and you experience things, you're like, well, I really like to express the feminine side of myself. And now I personally choose to express more the masculine side of myself, because that's just what I decided I like to do as I experienced more things, right? So we play with these, calibrations as we get affected by and we get experience with the life outside of, the womb or that like close family unit. And yeah, the problem is when people try to force their calibration on somebody else. I'm calibrated this way. You should be calibrated this way. My sex is set like this. My identity is set like this. My expression is set like this. And you came from me, so that's what you need to be doing. And also, I think that society is going to be mean to you. So to protect you from them being mean to you, I'm going to make sure you are set like this, which is like even more damaging because like you're supposed to be the one that accepts me as how I am, and like protect me. I think the problem is again where a society assigns value on different calibrations and configurations, right? So if we live in a society where the masculine has the value, that masculine is assigned the higher value, then yeah, the parents are like, I just think you're going to be better off in life if we turn this down and turn this up. I promise it'll be worth it in the end. Trust me, I know, because I struggled and I'm wounded and I don't want you wounded like me, as opposed to dealing with the thing that caused the wound, right? And then they end up causing more of a wound. So, you know what I mean?
Absolutely. And I appreciate you answering that or giving some context to that. Because these are conversations that are had with love. And then oftentimes like, well, I don't know how to, not just me, right? But some people who are like trying to figure it out. Some of our listeners who are trying to figure it out. And I want us to figure it out.
Yeah, and then here's the thing too is like you might not necessarily have to figure it out. You could just know that some people are different and they're having a different experience. And whether you don't understand it, it's okay. You don't have to understand it. They're still here, and they're still humans. They still have feelings. So even if you don't necessarily understand it, you can just understand that is our person, and they're having an experience. And I'm noticing that when this happens, that causes pain. I don't want you to have pain, so I'm going to help you to not have pain. Tell me what I can do if you want me to even be involved in that. But it's like I think sometimes understanding can help, and then sometimes you can even just take a macro level of going, you're different. And there you are. And that's awesome.
You're you.
Yeah. You're
not
you.
You're different. You're you.
You're you.